Sienna, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
Now, normally my wonderful co-host, Becca Laurie Hector, joins me, but unfortunately, her electricity is out today. So she's the more fun of the two of us, but I'm going to try to hopefully make this as an enjoyable experience for you as possible.
Yeah.
In kind of preparing to talk with you today, I did some research and I saw that you are a self-proclaimed math and physics nerd. So I enjoy math myself. What is there certain parts of math that you really get excited about?
Yeah, so I am very good at visualizing things. And so anything geometry based or anything to do with graphs, I'm very fascinated by and really like doing.
See that's amazing to me because I really enjoy math, but I am terrible visually. So geometry, I could barely pass that class.
Yeah, that was my favorite. And then I'm very into physics and I like mechanics for the same reason. I'm really able to visualize it. Like the quantum stuff, I do, but I just struggle with it because it's all so kind of conceptual and it's hard to kind of picture in your mind. And so when I'm hit with those kind of things, I can't really use my autistic superpowers of visualization to help me out.
Okay, so it's all about the visualization for you.
Yeah, and it's something that I enjoy doing when you can just sit there and work a problem out without even having to use pen and paper, just by like thinking about it through in your head. I mean, especially with mechanics, I'll just like think the situation through, and then I'm also good at my mental math, and so doing all of that together, it's fun. And I find myself, when I'm doing on a boring tube ride, I'll do those kind of problems in my head. I'm very nerdy that way.
So I'm good at mental math too. So whenever like my partner is like has some math to do, she'll just bring me in versus using the calculator. Now the calculator is definitely better than me, but I can do math pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely like a benefit in everyday life. I mean, I'll go, grocery shopping. Sorry, that is the ice cream van. It comes at 8 o'clock every
Oh,
evening here, and people think it's my phone ringing, but I didn't silence it. But it's the ice cream van.
are you an ice cream fan?
Um, Not like in London when it's like cold and rainy outside, because in
Yeah,
England we have really bad weather, and so it'll come like in the middle of December, and people will buy ice cream, and I don't understand that. But on a sunny day, I'm very into ice cream,
right. What's your go-to?
cookies and cream.
That's a good choice. I enjoy the cookies and cream myself. Um, so I forgot what we were talking about, but that's all right. So okay, mental math. Yes, that's where we were. So how in depth can you get with this mental math? Like, is it just multiplication and division? Um, what 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 how good are you at mental math?
Well, my thing is, it depends because I have ADHD. And so, with that, sometimes I can be very distracted by things, and other times I can go into really deep hyperfocus. And so when I go into my really deep hyper focus and I'm just focusing on the numbers and how to do that, I can do like 2-digit multiplication. Sometimes, one time I did 3, but I think that was just luck. But when I'm distracted, I can't do anything in my head. Like I can't add basic numbers because I'm just like thinking about what's happening out the window. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do later on in the day. And yeah, I've had to take a few tests in that mindset and it didn't go well.
Trouble there. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, so other than math and with and physics, I know you have a dog.
Yeah, my family has 4 dogs and then I recently moved out and so I'm living with 2 of the dogs.
Now, I have a dog myself, but I always would be scared of the idea of handling more than one dog at a time. Is that a real fear or no problem?
I mean, it's fine because they're small dogs. So I have one that's a Chihuahua and the other one that's a French Bulldog, and they get along really well. They're just complete pals. And so they'll play with each other and they'll keep themselves entertained. And it's great when I'm on Zoom calls or doing podcasts like this. I can just leave them unattended downstairs and they'll just kind of, distract themselves. But when they're on their own, that's when they get bored and they get destructive. And so I need to have them as a pair. I get afraid when they're separated.
And what other special interests do you have?
I mean, it's kind of related to the mental math. I'm very into card counting, any
Ah,
kind of card games I'm very into. Solitaire was a big thing for a while. And that was just my absolute, I had an app on my phone, and anytime I was waiting for something, I would just pull out my phone and start playing my solitaire, and a few people would comment on it and be like, what are you doing? They would look over and just see me really getting into it. But I got pretty fast, and so I enjoy doing that in my spare time. And any um, kind of math related games. I just have that general skill set that I like using in whatever way.
I was going to ask, solitaire on your phone or like the actual cards, or does it not matter?
So I have a very extensive card collection. That's something I'm obsessed with, and my mom gives me a lot of grief for it. I have maybe 200, 300 packs of cards at this point. Anytime we go anywhere that sell cards, I need to get a pack. And so I have like the Natural History Museum, any museum that we go to, they sell packs of cards and I buy those. And I have my set. I have a collection that I use that my mom took me to Las Vegas and we went to all of the casinos and bought cards from there. And so I play solitaire with those cards. But my problem is that I am dyspraxic. And so I'm very kind of clumsy and a bit disorganized in that way. And I don't have good fine motor coordination. And so when it comes to laying out the cards, I don't do it well. I get it all over the place, and then I don't know which card is meant to be in which column. And then from
Oh,
there, I end up getting a bit confused. So I
the
do a bit of both.
the piles kind of like cross over, and it's hard to tell what's in each pile.
At some point, it just becomes one big pile, especially when I try to do it quickly, which is something that I'm very into. Doing like it takes solitaire as fast as I can. It just becomes one big pile. I
There
have no
should be
idea.
there should be some things that you could buy so you can keep the columns um, organized, so it's not one big pile. I don't. There's got to
Yeah.
be something like that, or or with a lot of like accessibility issues, is that another one of those?
No, I mean definitely I'd be into buying something like that. There was a time when I bought a placemat and I did an outline of where all the cards should go. And so then I could just keep it within those columns. But then I would end up going to move a card and then in doing so, moving other cards, like
Hmm.
my hand just brushing them. And so it was one of those things where I was placing them in the right place and then inadvertently moving them out of that correct location.
Gotcha. What's your rarest deck that you have? Your card deck?
Mhm. I have one from Caesar's Palace
Ah,
that I'm very into. What else? I think I have a few like weird limited edition ones that I got off eBay. I have a Harry Potter one that was made in like I think the early 2000s, that which was a limited edition one that I'm into, and then I have a few. I bought one from like Paris that was meant to. I thought it looked cool, but it was this limited edition one that was made in I think the 80s. It was this vintage one that was apparently a big thing in France. I had no idea. I just thought it looked really cool, and so I think that's one.
interesting. Yeah, I would imagine going on eBay, you can find all different types of card decks.
Yeah, I have to stay off eBay because otherwise I just end up buying all of these things.
You'll have 50 card decks sent to you. Uh, now you've recently had I guess not sure how recently, but you have a book called the Spectrum Girls Survival Guide: How to Grow Up Awesome and Autistic. And I was wondering how important, since we talk about special interests on this podcast, how important do you feel special interests are in building an artistic identity for young girls?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, special interests are very important. And I think it's, as a society, we need to start moving towards being more accepting of it. I remember my special interest changed over time. And I think that was in part because of the reaction I got for them. When I was very young, I had an obsession with dinosaurs. I've since forgotten all about it, but my mom still has encyclopedic knowledge of dinosaurs. And so, I think we went to some museum one time and she was able to name all of them. And I had no idea, but she was just like, yeah, you made me listen to all of this for a couple of years there. But when I was at school, I had teachers who were just not accepting of it. They would tell me that it was weird. They would tell me that the reason I had no friends was because I only talked about dinosaurs. I had one teacher who gave me 3 tokens and told me that each time I talk about dinosaurs, I have to use one of the tokens. And if at the end of the day I don't have any tokens, then I get a house point deducted, which is a big thing when you're young. And so my special interests were not very appreciated. And the same thing happened a bit later with math and physics. I don't think that was so much because of my autism, but it was just because of the sexism of women who are pursuing careers in the sciences. I was pushed into history and psychology when I was really passionate about math and physics. And even when I decided that I was going to follow that, a lot of the time I wasn't, given the same encouragement that maybe the boys were. And so I think that it's really important that we start accepting people's passions and nurturing that and not giving people judgment.
I don't know what we are without our passions.
I know. I would be so sad if I didn't have my math and my physics.
I don't know. I can't even conceptualize someone not being passionate about something and how they would move around in life.
Yeah, no, it would just be such a boring life.
Yeah. Now, something else that you have been involved in that I'm really interested in is the Center for Autism in Research and Education. Can you talk a little bit about the autism research that you're involved with there?
Yeah, so CRAE, Center for Research in Autism and Education, is an institute as part of UCL, which is a university in London. And I really like their ethos. They do research around autism, but it's very much research for autism. They base it on the autistic community, and they try to find solutions to problems that we are having and try to improve our lives and our understanding of our autism, as opposed to other organizations that are trying to cure autism or find out what causes autism so they can prevent it, which really does nothing but stigmatize people in the autism community. And so I love CRAE, and I did a project on perceptual capacity. What that is, it's how much information you can take in from your environment. And so individuals who are autistic can take in more information from their environment than neurotypicals. And so we were just doing a project based all around that. And it was very fun. I was able to, take part in it. I did a lot of the testing myself. And it was great to have a research paper written up with my name as one of the collaborators.
That is great. What do you hope is the future of autism research? Is it just more autistic people being involved in these processes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to start doing research that improves the lives of autistic people, doesn't stigmatize it. I mean, I hope that more, organizations take the approach that Cray has. And I would also love for there to be more research in autism in girls. That's, that's something that people don't focus on enough. And, in my opinion, there are an equal number of girls and boys who are autistic. It's just that girls are less likely to get diagnosed.
Mhm. Absolutely. So one of the things that you are, I guess, most well known for at this point is being the founder of Neurodiversity Celebration Week, which just happened, a couple of weeks ago. Um,
Yeah, mid-March.
and there was over, I think this year, 1,000 schools and over 800,000 students. Um,
Yeah, we had 880,000 students take part from around the world.
it's amazing. Uh, did did this year's Neurodiversity Week meet your expectations? What do you, where do you see this kind of going?
Yeah, so Neurodiversity Celebration Week, it's a week run in schools to change the narrative and focus on the positives of neurodiversity instead of the negatives. We actually ran last year's Neurodiversity Celebration Week in late March, and that was right before the first lockdown in the UK. And so we've kind of had two cycles of Neurodiversity Celebration Week that have been affected by COVID. And so I was really happy at the turnout for this year. I felt just definitely taking into consideration this global events, I wasn't expecting to have that kind of turnout, especially when there were a lot of schools that weren't even in session. There were schools that were doing kind of online learning, other ones that had just stopped teaching entirely. And so to have so many schools sign up, everything was really, really great.
Now you are what, just turned 18 not long ago, or how old are you now?
I'm 18.
You're 18. So I think back to when I was 18 and I am thinking about talking with you and thinking, what was the most impressive thing I had did up to that point? And it was nowhere near you, but you shouldn't compare yourself with other people. But I just started wondering, like, as you kind of get older, and where do you kind of like see yourself, you know, in 5, 10 years? I know that might be, at sometimes really hard to predict, but what do you want to be doing, like, as you move into kind of college years and career and all those types of things?
Yeah. So I have a place at university. I actually accepted my place at Stanford 2 days ago. I got my offer, but I was kind of just thinking things through, and so I accepted. And so now I know for certain that I'll be spending the next couple of years in California, which I'm looking forward to. I want to graduate with a degree in mechanical engineering, and then kind of go into a field like that. My knowledge, just having done Neurodiversity Celebration Week, and then also just through my activism, I've learned that I work best when I'm on my own. When I'm my own boss, when I run my whole schedule, because with my ADHD and my autism, sometimes I work through the night and then I'm not productive during the day. Sometimes I just need to, take time away from what I'm doing, focus on something else, and then come back to it. And that is a style of working that isn't very conducive to a 9-to-5 job. And so, and also just having control over, what I want to do, because there's some days with my ADHD that certain tasks are just not getting done, especially organizational based ones. But the fun ones I'm good with doing. And so, just managing all of that, I think it would be really great to work for myself. And so I would want to at some point start a consulting firm, but that's very far in the future.
You were just talking about how with fun tasks that you kind of do better with those things, maybe from like an executive functioning perspective. Do you feel like when people are involved in their special interests that a lot of those things are a lot easier to do?
Yeah, I mean, when I meant like fun tasks, I meant like doing the math and the physics. Because sometimes, you have to respond to emails and you need to like wrangle a group together and you need to like come up with a presentation and all of that, I just really struggle with. But to just sit down and do like the math, to sit down and do all the work, to do whatever engineering thing, I mean, that's what I'm interested in doing. All the kind of bureaucracy and managing that and office politics. Oh, there's no way.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get to kind of the end of our time together, is there anything you wanted to promote, tell people about?
Yeah, so I have my book, The Spectrum Girl Survival Guide, How to Grow Up Awesome and Autistic. And then I also recently released my second book, which is The Spectrum Girl Survival Toolkit, the workbook for autistic girls. And those are both out on Amazon. And I'm really happy that I was able to release both of those. My first book, The Spectrum Girl Survival Guide, was the first book written for autistic girls by an autistic girl. And I find it crazy that in this day and age, a resource like that hadn't been created earlier. But I'm really happy to be able to put those kind of resources out for autistic girls to get the support that they need and to get a workbook that will help them through the problems that they're having and give them the advice that I wish I had when I was growing up.
It's great. So at the end of each one of our episodes, normally Becca and I, we have a segment called Inside the Autistic Studio, and it's 11 questions long. Don't have to think too much about it, but it's just a chance for our listeners to kind of get to know you and all of our guests a little bit better. So question number one is, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
Okay. What is your preferred stim?
Preferred STEM. Pacing. I love pacing, but I know that it makes a lot of people nervous, and so instead I just kind of shake in my seat. But I love a good pace.
I love a good pace too. I also have my chair that spins around, so that helps if I can't move uh, and pace. Um, what is your favorite curse word?
Um, I think my mom's gonna watch this, so I'm probably not gonna answer that question. But anything's fun.
Okay. Um, who do you love and what are you doing about it?
I love my dog Rico, and I buy him all this unnecessary stuff on the internet.
What is something unnecessary you've got Rico recently?
He doesn't wear coats or boots or any kind of clothing, but I insist on buying him stuff. I recently bought my bigger dog, Cosmo. I got her a Stanford kind of jacket online, and I had to ship it in from the US, and so I had to pay customs on it and the whole thing, and it was so unnecessary because she refuses to wear it. I put it on, and 5 seconds later, she's taken it off and discarded it somewhere. So lots of unnecessary stuff.
These next two are kind of fill in the blank. You may be neurotypical if.
Try to think of a fun one. If you judge people for being autistic.
There you go. And then you may be autistic if.
You march to the beat of your own drum. You do your own thing. You're not afraid to be a lone wolf, to go out on your own. I find a lot of people I find really inspirational for autistic. I mean, I'm just, in this society, we kind of, we put a lot of emphasis on being team players and on working well with other people. And it seemed to be this really great skill, but I think that it's great to just do your own thing, to be able to, manage everything on your own. I mean, when I look at my neurodiversity celebration week that I did, and my quantum leap mentoring, which I did earlier, that was all by myself. And I don't think that I think that having a team of people behind me actually would have impeded that success, because then you're just kind of bickering amongst each other, arguing about little things, and not focusing on the big picture. And so that kind of independent thinking is something that I really value in a lot of autistic individuals.
I love that. What's something you want to learn to do or be better at?
Um, Languages. I never figured out how to speak a second language, and I'm always kind of a little salty that I haven't done that.
I can
Every
barely
New Year's resolution is to learn a second language, and every New Year it doesn't happen.
I can barely speak English, so I am amazed at people that can speak more than one language. What language would you want to learn?
I think Spanish would be nice to know. My mother is, she's from Mexico, and so she's fluent in Spanish. And then my father's from Cuba, and so he's fluent in Spanish. And they tried to get me to speak it growing up, and I refused. So I only speak English.
My father went to medical school in Guadalajara, Mexico, so he's not fluent as much these days, but he was when he was younger. Um, what autistic social media account should people be paying attention to?
Um, I love Special Needs Jungle. They have a really good Twitter account, and Genius Within does really great work. Yeah, those are the two that I really love.
What's one thing in your routine you could possibly not live without?
Uh, Overthinking everything. That's something that I've got to do. And music. I love to listen to music while I'm doing things.
Okay. What music are you into these days?
Lana Del Rey just released a new album that I really like. And I'm also very into Jack Antonoff.
Dog, cat, or must I choose?
100% dog.
Okay, I love dogs. Most people are either that we've talked out here are more into cats. I don't dislike cats, but yeah, dogs I think are more my thing. Just probably because I've had a dog. Have you had a cat before?
I'm allergic to cats, so
Ah,
I've never
well
had a cat.
there you go then. And then the last question: what does autistic joy mean to you?
Autistic joy. I mean, I think it's all, related to my special interest and to just having that passion. For me, a lot of the joy I've gotten out of being autistic is just being able to sit and do something for 6 hours straight and just be happy in doing it, not wanting to do anything else, and just being really passionate. And I don't see that much in neurotypicals in the same way, just that kind of dedication to something. And I think that I kind of have it, but then I'll go and I'll see other autistic individuals like Greta, who just lives and breathes climate change. Just people who are just really passionate, just dedicate their lives to something. And I just think that's so inspirational to have that much love for a topic or a movement. And so that is really what I see autistic joy as.
Well, Sienna, I really appreciated your time today. I know you are probably pretty busy. Well, and congrats on the college admission. Stanford's going to be lucky to have you for sure. And thanks for your time.
No, thank you so much. It was really great to be here and really great to talk to you.